All right, so something pretty crazy happened the other day. But before I share that, I just wanted to share a backstory to explain that story. So about 7 years ago, when Lindsay and I were living in Hastings, we needed to get a new car because our car broke down, and we were going to drive to check out a new car. New meaning like a used new car. And on our way there, I was just nervous, like what if we get this car and it ends up breaking down a week later, or once we drive out of the parking lot, you never know what's going to happen. And I'm like worried about that a little bit. And so we get there and we test drive the car. And when we test drive the car, we get back and we're like, all right, I guess we're getting it. Everything seems to be good here. Like, all right, well, let's just quick pray that if God doesn't want us to get this, something weird will happen. So we pray in the car in the dealership parking lot. And then we finish praying, we get out, and as we're getting out, there's a couple that walks in front of us and goes up. They only got in front of us because we were praying, but when we get up there, they ended up paying for the car that we were sitting in praying in while we were praying right in front of us there. So we actually never ended up getting the car, and it was like crazy. So I've always wondered, hey, what happened to that car? I wonder if it broke down, the next day or something. Who knows? But so anyways, we've kind of been thinking about getting another car and getting rid of this one because we're worried that it's on its last leg here, and we'll need a new car. So we've been looking at cars, and we were on our way to see one the other day, and I started thinking, hey, I remember that time that we prayed that prayer and that car got bought right in front of us. And it was such a cool, awesome thing. And I was just thinking that would never happen again. What a cool experience. I was just, just basking in their memory of that experience. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just pray that something crazy will happen if we're not supposed to get this car, So we do that on the way to the dealership. And we get to the dealership, and I'm looking at the car, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if we should get this car, And I decide, all right, so we go in, we ask him to test drive the car. This lady comes out to let us test drive the car with the keys. And she can't get the car open. And I'm like, okay, don't you know how to open the door to a car, And she's like, oh, I think the battery in this key fob is dead. And it's like, okay, whatever, just put the key inside the door and open it, So finally she realizes she can do that after a little bit, and she opens the door, and she still can't start the car. And with Priuses, that's what we're looking at. They have this remoteless key start. You actually don't need to put the key inside the vehicle. You can actually start it if the key's nearby. So she's pressing the power button, it's not starting. I'm like, my goodness, lady, the battery inside the key doesn't work, Just put the key inside the thing and it'll start. She's like, oh, I guess I gotta go get a different battery. She goes to get a different battery, and she comes back and is like, actually, it's not the battery in the key fob. The car battery is dead. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is real weird. I don't know if I want this car. And it hadn't dawned on me yet what we had just prayed. So she calls the mechanic because she can't get it jumped herself. And the mechanic comes out, and he's trying to jump it. And it starts for like a half a second, and then it turns off again. And it's like, as soon as it started for a half a second and turned off, I was like, oh, yeah, that's funny. We prayed that something weird would happen if this isn't the car that we should be getting. And I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I don't know, And she's like, okay, we'll come inside. We'll take your number and everything. And maybe we'll have you come see it tomorrow. And I'm just thinking, like, I should just tell her, like, look, lady, I just prayed that something weird would happen if this isn't the car we're supposed to get. And God would do something cool like he did this last time. And you couldn't even get in the car, let alone start it when you finally did get in the car, I didn't tell her. I feel like I should have, which would have been kind of funny. She ended up calling me the other day and left a message like, hey, want to know if you wanted to see the car. I thought it'd be fun if I called her back and just told her what happened, because it's kind of cool, So some of my friends would call me superstitious. I would just say that God does some pretty cool things sometimes when we pray and ask, because he's a loving father. So it's like, not only did something crazy happen once with a car, but we go to a dealership for the second time and another crazy thing happens. So whatever God's doing, we don't deny that he's at work and that cool things are happening still. It's just one of tons of things that happen all the time. This was just funny that it happened again. And it just makes you feel good that someone's looking over you. So yeah, anything cool like this happens again, I'll definitely be posting another video. So see you.